And I know what you're thinking. Yes, another granny square project. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this video. For this project, you are going to need 22 squares. So you're gonna start out with 22 granny squares at 4 rounds each, and then we'll come back. So for my squares, I did 4 rounds each of my granny square. And with that 4 rounds, I got a measurement of 5 inches. So each square should measure out to be 5 inches. And for this, I am making a size like small. So I did use 5 inches. If you want to make a bigger size, you can always just do more rounds of your granny square. For a suggestion, like if you want to do a medium size, you can always do about 6 or 7 inches, and then anything larger than that you'll just add on 2 more. So for a small, I'm doing 5. For a medium, your squares will be 7 inches, and then for a large, your squares will be 9 inches. Okay, and this project is a cropped sweater, so if you don't want it to be cropped, you can always do more squares, but I can show you that a little bit later. So like I said, you have to start with 22 squares, and I'm going to show you the layout of the squares. Okay, so I'm going to work on the back panel. So for the back panel, you're going to need 6 squares, 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom. So I am going to use the join as you go method, so that will add an extra row to each of the squares. So in the end, your squares would be 5 rounds each, and that will give it a little bit more wiggle room and extra space on your top. So from here, I'm just gonna go ahead and connect the squares. All right, so I'm going to grab my first square, and I am using a solid color for the border. It's always in your best interest to use a solid color if you're going to use like an ombre yarn or a variegated yarn, just so that the squares pop and you don't want any colors clashing. So I am using beige for this project. So I'm going to insert my hook, chain up 3, and that counts as your first double crochet. And then in that same corner, I'm going to insert 2 more double crochets. And this is for those that don't know how to do the join as you go method. If you're new here, welcome. If you already have watched my videos and you already gotten the pattern down of doing the join as you go, you can always just skip ahead and I'll show you what to do next. So in this next space, I'm going to insert 3 more double crochets. And then I'm just going to insert 3 double crochets in each space all the way until I reach this corner right here. And in the corners, we're going to do increase, so it's going to be 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets in the same space, only on the corners. Okay? 3 double crochet. Chain 2, and then in that same space I'm going to insert 3 more double crochets. So this is what your work should be looking like, and I'm just going to put that in the back. I'll cut that now. All right, so you should have done 3 sides with your border color. Okay, so from this point on, you are going to chain up 2, and with that chain 2, you are going to grab your next square and you are going to position them side by side like this. Okay? And then with that chain 2, you are going to yarn over and go into the corner of your new square with a double crochet. through 2, pull through 2. So we have connected the squares now with 1 double crochet. So in that corner, I'm going to insert 2 more double crochets for a total of 3. Okay, so now that we have 3 double crochets in the corner, I'm going to come over to our first square and slip stitch into this space right here. All right, so I have connected the first 2 clusters. So from here, I'm going to go into the next space with 3 double crochets and then slip stitch to the right. And then again, back over, 3 double crochets in this space and then slip stitch to the right. Okay? So I'm going to continue doing that until I reach this point right here, and then I'll let you guys know what to do next. I'm going to do 1 more cluster with you, and then I'll meet you back. So I'm going to yarn over. And like I said, I'm carrying over my yarn just so I don't have to weave in so much at the end. So I'm going to go into that next space with 3 double crochets. Okay. And then I'm going to slip stitch into this next space. So just keep repeating that until you reach this point right here. Okay? So once you've gotten to this point right here, you should have slip stitch to the right here. And from this point, we are going to go back into this same space here because it is a corner with 3 more double crochets. So I'm going to chain up 1 and then yarn over and go into this space here with 3 double crochets. All right. And then I'm going to continue on with the granny stitch, putting 3 double crochets in each space all the way until I reach this point right here. So remember, in the corners, you're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in the same space, and then continue that on until you reach this point right here. When you're in this point, you should only put 3 double crochets. Okay? And yarn over, go into the next space with 3 double crochets. Alright, so this is what your work should be looking like. I continue that granny stitch all the way until I reach this corner here. And then from here, we're going to do the same thing that we did right here. We chained up 2, and then we grabbed our next square and then connected them using the join as you go. Alright, so I'm going to chain up 2 and then grab my next square and then insert 3 double crochets into the corner, and then continue on with the join as you go. I'm going to slip stitch here and then keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and you should do the same. Okay, so I have all 3 squares connected and I've reached my corner point down here. So from this point, I'm going to turn the work so I can start working across. So from here, you're just going to insert 3 double crochets all the way across. And when you reach this point right here, you are just going to slip stitch into this space. So you're going to put your 3 double crochets right here, and then you're going to slip stitch into this space and then 3 double crochets and continue. And I'll show you how to do that. So from here, I'm going to chain up 2, and then in this same space, because it is a corner, I'm going to insert 3 more double crochets. And then continue on with 3 double crochets. Okay, so from here, You see what I was talking about? We have 3 double crochets, and then I'm just going to slip stitch into this space right here without chaining one or anything. You're just going to slip stitch. All right. And so this first square is now connected fully. This square is complete. So then I'm just going to go into this next corner with 3 double crochets. I think I got some hair caught. Yep. 3 double crochets, and then continue on until I reach this point here. Okay. All right, so now I have completed connecting all 3. So I am going to chain up 2, and just like we've been doing, you start with that chain up 2, and then you grab your next square and then go into that corner with 3 double crochets. So we are working on the second row of 3 granny squares. Okay, and then I'm going to position my work so that my squares are side by side, and then I'm going to continue with that join as you go until I reach this point right here. So in this first space here after the corner, so in this first space, I'm going to slip stitch. Okay, so now it is connected. So in this next space, you're going to insert 3 double crochets and then slip stitch to the right. And then just continue on. Okay, and then from here, once we have our 3 double crochets, you're going to slip stitch into this space here where the 2 squares were joined. So you're not going to go into the middle of the corner space, you're just going to go right in this joined space here with this slip stitch. Okay. And then, so your first square is now connected. So now you're going to yarn over and grab your next square and then go into that corner with 3 double crochets. And then slip stitch to the right, and you are going to continue this until you have all 3 squares connected. So I'm going to go ahead and continue that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so from here I have finished connecting my last square. So this is how the work should look. You have all 3 squares connected, but they're not fully connected. So now we are just going to continue around with the granny stitch until we reach this point here, and then do join as you go, and then continue granny stitch from across and down, and then join as you go, and then do the same down here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to continue on with the granny stitch, inserting 3 double crochets into that corner space, and then in the next space with 3 double crochets, three double crochets, 3 double crochets. Then in the corner, 3 double crochets, and then you're going to chain 2, and then 3 double crochets into that same corner space. So I'm going to pivot my work a little bit just so I can see it better. And now I'm going to go across and then down. All right, so I have finished my last cluster of 3 double crochets. And then so from here, you're going to insert a slip stitch into this space right here where the 2 squares were connected. Okay. So now that first square is connected to the bottom row. And then you're just going to continue on. So we already have 3 double crochets in this first corner. So we're going to go right into this same space here with 3 more double crochets to complete that corner space. 2 and 3. So we have 3 double crochets, and then you're going to go over to the right like we've been doing with a slip stitch. And then just continue on coming up the square with 3 double crochets. Okay, so my camera was dying and overheating, so while it was charging, I did off camera go ahead and connect the rest of my squares. So before I left, we were working on the back panel of 6 squares, so I finished that. And then I went ahead and did my 2 front panels. So for the 2 front panels, you're going to need 2 for each side. And then for the sleeves, you need 6 squares total. So 3 down the front and then 3 down the back. I did actually go ahead and connect them another panel of 6 because for the sleeve, I'm going to fold them like that. So I did the same thing for the other side. I did 6 and then I folded it. So now we are going to put the cardigan together. So this is what you should have once you finish connecting all your squares. So you have your back panel, your 2 fronts, and your 2 sleeves. Okay? Okay, so to start connecting, you're going to start with your back panel and your 2 fronts. So let me zoom in. So for this part, you are going to face your 2 front panels on top of the back panel, right sides facing each other. So the 2 right sides are facing each other. And then from this corner to this corner, you're just going to single crochet across, going in both loops, and do the same on the other side. So I'm just going to start in this corner and then single crochet to the end of this first square. So you're just going to single crochet across the top. So let's do that now. All right, so starting in this corner here, I'm going to insert my hook into the first corner and then go into the other corner of the back square. And I'm just going to slip stitch just to connect my yarn. And then from here, I'm going to chain up 1 and then just single crochet across the top, making sure to kind of keep them aligned with each other. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. Just making sure that the stitches are aligned with one another to make sure it's straight. So I'm just gonna go in under the first 2 loops of the first square and then go behind and under the other 2 stitches from the back square like this. And then I'm just going to pull through and then yarn over and pull through 2 to create 1 single crochet. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing all the way across. So I am just single crocheting all the way across. Now if you want to do slip stitches, you can. That's totally up to you. But I'm just going to single crochet across, making sure that my stitches are lining up properly. So we have just connected our first panel. Okay, so this is what it would look like once you turn your work right side out. Okay, and then we're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side with our second panel. All right, so go ahead and do that now and I'll meet you right back. All right, so I have both panels connected here, so we're good on that part. So now moving on to connecting the sleeves. So for this, I'm going to open up my work here because I'm going to connect my sleeves with these two squares right here. So the top from the back panel and then the top of that front panel. Okay, so with these two squares here. So you're going to grab your sleeve panel and lay your sleeve panel across those two squares like I just told you. Okay, so I have my 6 squares, so I'm putting right sides facing each other, 2 squares on top like this. I'm really hoping that I'm making sense to you guys and that this isn't confusing. But I'm going to single crochet from the corner of our first square and go across 2 squares in total like this. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, I'll show you again. So I have my 6 squares here and then I'm just going to lay them across right sides facing each other and then single crochet across the 2 squares. All right, and you should have 1 square at the top still and then another square at the bottom. So right in the middle you're going to connect. So I'm going to go ahead and single crochet now and then I'll be back. So this is what the work should be looking like once you've connected your sleeve panel, because we had put it like this, and then when you turn it right side out and then when you fold it down like this, that's how the work is going to look. See, it's coming together. It's coming together. Just trust the process. So you're going to do the same thing we did on this side on the other end. And I did actually go ahead and do that off camera. So this is how it's looking. So then once I fold them down, I'm going to fold both sides down. This is what the work looks like. Do you see it? You see it. Okay? So then from here is super easy. You're just going to single crochet from the sleeve in, from the cup, I mean the wrist part, and then you're going to single crochet all the way across and then down to connect these last 2 squares. So across and then down, and then do the same on this side, go all the way across and then down, connecting those 2. All right, so go ahead and do that, single crochet, and then meet me back once you've finished single crocheting all the way across until you reach these points right here. So now that we've completed, both sleeves are now attached and I've turned the work right side out. You can see I have not yet weaved in my ends, but I'll worry about that later. But this is what the project should look like. So now this part is optional. I am going to add some straps because this top is actually going to be able to be a wrap top as well. So where you can kind of pull it together like this. But if you don't want any straps, that's fine. You can leave it however it is and then you can be done. Or if you just want to add a border around, that's fine too. But for this next step, I am going to do my border around the base of the cardigan as well as adding in my straps. Say you don't want it to be an open face cardigan, you wanted it to be maybe a pullover or you don't want it to be cropped, you want it to be longer. This is what you would do for that part. So if you wanted it to be a closed cardigan, you would always just fill out the middle. So instead of it just being the two sides, you would put a square here and a square here as well. And if you want it to be longer or bigger, you can just do another another row of squares. So instead of it just being 2 rows, you can do another row of 3 or another row of 3, depending on the size that you're going for. However you feel is best, however you want to do it, that's fine. But that's just how you would play around with your squares. You would just add more squares depending on the look that you're going for. Okay, so to start with the border, you can use your same color that you've been using for the rest of the squares, or if you want to switch it up and put a different color, that's fine too. Just play around with it, get creative, and do whatever you feel is best. So to start with the border, I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the middle square on the back by the neck. So I'm going to insert my hook into the corner space here with a slip stitch. And then for this, I am going to double crochet all the way around. So I'm going to chain up 3, and that would count as my first double crochet into the space. So in this next stitch here, I'm going to insert 1 double crochet and just double crochet all the way around. And then once I reach the bottom of the cardigan corner, that's where we'll start doing the straps. So I'm just going to double crochet across. Now if you don't want to use double crochet, you don't have to. You can do half double crochet, single crochet, whatever you feel looks good, do it. But for this, I'm just going to keep the stitches the same. I'm not going to switch them up. I'm just going to do double crochet. Okay. So I've inserted 1 double crochet into that corner stitch here, and I'm going to skip over this corner right here and go into the next corner of the front panel square. Okay, so I'm just going to yarn over and go right into that corner here. Okay, and then just keep on going with my double crochets, because now we're working down the front. So now we have gone around, and now we're at our corner stitch here. So from here, we are going to work on our strap. So for the strap, you can chain up as much as you would like, however long you want your chain to be. Just keep in mind that if you are following me all the way through and you want your top to be able to wrap across, just make sure you're making the strap long enough to wrap around your body. So I always suggest no less than 85 chains. So I am probably going to chain maybe 100, but that's just what I like to do. But you don't have to do 100. You can do less than that, more than that, however long you want it. I sometimes just like a longer strap just because I think it's cute. So I'm just going to start chaining, and then I will meet you back once I have my chains. Okay, so I have my chains, and I decided to do 120 just because I really want a longer strap. So I did 120. So now in this third chain, I'm going to insert 1 double crochet. And then I'm just going to go back down my chain with double crochets. Okay, so that's all I'm doing for this part. I'm just going all the way back down, inserting 1 double crochet in each chain stitch. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I am coming up on my last chain. I'm inserting my last double crochet. So I have come back down my chain, and now we are at this point where we're meeting back up where we started chaining off from. So from here, you are just going to insert one double crochet into that corner space. So we already have one here, so you can insert one more. And then now from here, continue on. Do I like how that looks, or do I want to put a double crochet right here? I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah, that looks fine. So from here, I'm just going to double crochet all the way across. So now we are working on the bottom of the cardigan around the back. So you're just going to continue on with your stitches all the way until you reach the other corner of the second front panel. All right, so I am at that other corner now, and I've inserted my last double crochet. So I'm going to just chain up another 120 like I did on the other side, and then come back down the chain and then continue on like we did on the other side. Okay, so go ahead and chain your second set for your second strap, and then meet me back. All right, y'all, so we are done with our cardigan. This is what it should be looking like. We have our straps here. You can tie it like this once it's on and wrap it around your body, or you can just leave it open and just have the straps hanging. That's fine too. And if you want, you can go around the wrist part of your sleeve with a ribbing or whatever you want to do. It's yours. Make it however you want to, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching my tutorial, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.